you think there's a scenario in which the Bulls get aggressive and move up for a guy they like?
I think that's definitely a possibility. I think generally speaking, people might think that's a bad value proposition in this draft because this draft is not considered to be strong. But if you have good scouting and you believe in your scouting and you like a guy, it could be the cheapest time to do that compared to other years, right? Like there was no way any team was moving up into the top pick last year, but that top pick might be available this year. Yeah. So if you really like Alex Sarr and you want to go get him, this could be a chance to get up at the top. Like we've already heard rumors that the Hawks might be shopping that. Maybe it's Topic that they really like or whoever it may be. This could be a chance to do that. And you get a potentially very good player on a very small contract, all things considered. So I'm not saying I think that will happen, but I think it's a possibility just because that option is available compared to other years when really that just wouldn't happen.
I did want to ask you because his name was just mentioned, but Alex Sarr, you did get a chance because he was there also. What did you see from him today?
He's really awesome. I mean, he's not Wembanyama. I know he's a tall Frenchman, but like the shot I think is going to be the swing for him. But defensively, he can really move his feet. He's fast. He's really mobile. Incredible shot blocker at the rim. Can slide over, can switch. I mean, you could just do everything with him.
He had a block percentage of 8.0 playing in Perth.
Jesus.
God damn.
He was awesome. And he shot the ball well today. He's got a smooth release. He could be kind of like a unicorn offensively in terms of his ability to like get to the basket on like rim rolls and catching lobs and then also stepping out and shooting threes. He does like to face up a little bit and kind of score from the elbow area. He's got like a little sidestep jumper. Like he's very fluid, very skilled player. It's very raw right now, but like you can see that there's a good player there. And then defensively, I think he's going to be his defensive ability right now is probably the best tool or the best attribute of any player in this draft. And that's why I think he ultimately goes number one. And he's going to be a very solid player. I don't think he's going to be like Wemby, but I think he could be along the lines of a Jaren Jackson or an Evan Mobley, just in the sense that he's probably going to start at the 4, be a rim protector. The shot is going to be the big question, but can he pass a little bit? Can he move and switch defensively? I think all that stuff's on the table. He's not as polished. I don't think he's got quite as much upside as either of those guys. Like if the draft was Wemby, Jaren, Mobley, and Sarr, he'd probably go last out of that group. So it's not like a surefire, superstar in the making, but I think the potential there is definitely the most interesting to me. I would have him number one on my board.
There it is.
Robert threw us another super chat saying, and it's kind of what we've been chatting about. Question for Will. I heard Woj say the 3rd pick is available. You think we could create something to move up and also keep the 11th? I mean, I don't see a scenario where you can move up while not giving up the 11th.
I mean, maybe the Houston Rockets really love Zach LaVine.
Okay, that's where I was going, Will. Look at you. Because, obviously we got plenty of time between now and draft day, like June 26th or 7th or whatever next month to talk about all these prospects. I think Bulls fans are fair to wonder if now is finally the time. After all the talk of years, Zach's on the trade market, and then even this season, Zach admitting himself, I told them, hey, if you want to trade me, trade me. I'm open to a trade. I think people are feeling like Zach and the Bulls are ready for this divorce to be finalized. Is draft night the night to make that happen? And is it something where the Bulls can, make 2 good things happen for themselves in one night, which is get off of Zach's contract, give him a new destination he wants to go, and also improve your draft stock? That to me, that seems a bit lofty of a goal. And I don't know if I feel like they are capable of doing all of that at once, as opposed to separating them and being like, all right, well, here's who we like in this draft. Here's who's on our board. Here's who's available at 11. Pick that. Okay, now let's deal with trading Zach. And maybe that's just my, cynical lack of faith in this front office to handle both of those things at once on draft night.
No, you're not. You're not wrong. We've seen what's going on. As far as your lack of faith in what they can do properly, I get it. I didn't think of that till now that you're saying it, because and tell me if it makes sense though, Will. Like, it feels like just in this draft, since it's such a weak draft, everybody keeps telling me that teams will be more willing to maybe give that up for a player that's already established. So it feels like if you're like Matt is saying, if it's at any time that you can actually get off of Zach and trade Zach, to a team like Houston, who was not happy with the fact that they picked up the number 3 pick at all, and they probably might not even be looking at anybody like that. Why not get somebody that's already established that can improve your team and then give a pick back in a draft that's considered to not be a great one?
Yeah, I think it's definitely a possibility. I agree with what you're saying, that like draft picks might be gettable this year in terms of teams being willing to move down or out in this draft. I don't know what that would cost compared to other years. I don't know if the Rockets are actually interested in Zach. They've got Jalen Green, who's a similar player and obviously much cheaper and much younger. So that was just kind of a shot in the dark, but
much better.
Keep shooting.
So I think one thing that the Bulls could do is like, I don't know how the Mark Eversley thing factors into the Pistons. So let's just put that aside for a second.
Right. Okay.
Like, could the Bulls go Zach and 11 for 5 and Isaiah Stewart? You guys take off some money. We move up in the draft. You still keep a draft pick, but you also get an all-star scorer.
Right.
Like, does that kind of work for both teams where the Bulls accomplish their goal of getting off of a ton of money? They also can sell to the fan base, look, we got the 5th pick in the draft for Zach LaVine.
Yeah.
And also a backup center, or maybe the center of the future, in Isaiah Stewart. That's the kind of deal where I think both teams could be into it. Obviously, like I said, depends on who takes over decision-making with Detroit. Like, maybe they want to go the complete opposite direction. That was obviously, like, Troy Weaver was the one who was interested in Zach at that time, and he's not going to be the head decision-maker anymore. So who knows if that's still on the table. But I think that kind of deal could accomplish all those goals that we're talking about in terms of freeing up cap space, getting a little bit younger, getting some new players in there, and giving yourself a bit of a swing on upside.
Yeah.
Obviously, you're basically trading Zach for a pick swap at that point, so it's not like the best value deal ever. But I could see that kind of thing becoming an option or becoming interesting to teams. But I'll say this, and I've said it before, like, I do not think Zach's going to be the first domino to fall. Maybe teams like have a handshake deal with the Bulls in place for, if we don't get Paul George, we can pull this deal with you guys and get Zach.
Right.
But I think it's going to be really tough to get something done with Zach in general. Moving that kind of money is hard to do on draft night when you have 5 minutes to make a pick. It's probably a little bit easier to do it during the summer and during the free agency period. But to me, it strikes me as something that's going to have to happen after free agency, when teams kind of know who they are and what they've gotten or what they've missed out on.
Right.
And like we've said before, the Bulls are going to have to make decisions on Patrick and DeMar before that happens.
Yes.
So are you going to get yourself stuck 11, 15, $20 million into the luxury tax and then have to attach multiple picks to get off of Zach? Or are you going to try to get DeMar and Patrick cheaper? Or are you going to try to just let them walk or sign and trade them? Like, I don't think Zach is, as much as they want to and prefer Zach to be the first domino, I just have a hard time believing that for now.
We all silly like the mayor.